Okay, hello, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, July 7th, 2025, for the Village of Lansing. And we will start with a roll call. I am present, Carolyn Greenwald, Susan Ainsley,
Present.
Pat Gillespie,
Present.
Kathleen Yen,
Present.
and Ronnie Hardaway is not present. We also have Natalie French and Mike Scott. Should we do roll call for the people online or just continue?
No, just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I will open the public comment period. Anyone who would wish to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda, including those people online. It looks like Lisa has a comment.
Just reporting in that I'm the liaison for the planning board for tonight.
Welcome, Lisa. Welcome, Lorraine. Thank you both for joining us. I'm going to make a motion. Well, are there any other public comments? There's no public here. Okay. Insofar as there's no one else here to comment, I'm going to move that we close the public comment period.
Second.
And Susan seconds. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
The public comment period is closed. Okay, we are not going to approve tonight's minutes for June 12th. We're going to postpone that. Instead, we're going to move on to the next agenda item and consider proposed local law F 2025. As of June 1st, 2025, the Village of Cedar Heights has increased their sewer rates by 25%. The Village of Cedar Heights portion of the sewer rate is increasing from $7.59 per thousand gallons to $9.48 per thousand gallons. And the villagers will see this on our October billing. I will make a motion to set a public hearing for proposed local law F 2025 amendment to the Village of Lansing Code sewer rents for July 21st, 2025 at 7:35. Is there a second?
Second.
Kathleen seconds. So the public hearing has been set. Oh, sorry, can we vote on the motion to set the public hearing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to equipment surplus. It is requested that the village surplus the WOCOM message board and the 2020 GMC Sierra 2500 pickup so that they can be sold. We have received the new flagger and the new pickup truck. So there will be a resolution to surplus the WAMCO message board and the 2020 Sierra pickup. I'll make a motion to surplus these two pieces of equipment.
Second.
And Susan seconds. Let's take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No one is opposed. Oh, the motion passes. We're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the comprehensive plan discussion. So all of you have received a Google Doc of the comprehensive plan draft that has been put together by the Comprehensive Plan Committee. We're lucky because we have both Kathleen and Lorraine, members of the committee, and myself here tonight. And we have Lisa, who wrote the currently in place comprehensive plan. So we have a lot of people here who are good for making some commentary. And then, of course, this conversation is sort of a precursor to the greater conversation that'll be had between the planning board and the Board of Trustees at our July meeting. So I want to say thank you to Pat, who went through it today and provided some comments, and obviously Kathleen, you've been doing that throughout the drafting, and Lorraine as well, and Lisa. So I guess I will say globally, it was very rewarding to see the old comprehensive plan and compare it to what we have accomplished, which was quite substantial. Almost everything in the old comprehensive plan was really tackled, and it's also quite interesting to see in 10 years how the village has changed and to be a part of forging the way that we want to have our local government impact the next 10 years. So I guess I will take comments from the group about whether they want to discuss some global things or they have some Picayune things that they want to talk about. Either of those are fine with me. Lisa, do you have specific things that you want to raise?
You're mute, Lisa.
We can't hear you, Lisa.
Would because I was muted. I really am not prepared to really get into too much, honestly. But I haven't taken the time to go through it totally at all. I'm about to go away and I have set an intention to spend time doing that before our joint meeting, but I haven't really been able to focus on it like I was hoping.
That's completely fine. That's completely fine. So Pat, I have your sort of grammatical and technical and factual
Mostly
edits,
proofreading.
proofreading edits, which are completely appreciated. Do you have any sort of global thoughts about where you're seeing us focus and where you?
No, I think the committee did a great job putting this together. I mean, it's obviously it's a lot of work. And it's pretty much, I mean, it seems to be going the way that, I mean, the planning board's been working for the last couple of years, so I think it's putting us in a good direction.
Okay. Susan, did you have a chance to look at the document?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
And I concur.
So do you have any, if you had any specific editorial things, you would have put them right in the document, correct?
I am not, knowing other people do it better than I do.
Okay.
I wasn't going to make it more work for everyone, editing. Pat's got a good eye.
I do.
I mean, there's a few things in here that are probably not worth the discussion or the fight, and one in particular was that I was thinking that we should maybe consider banning the use of fertilizers in your grasses, and both Ronnie and Pat suggested that maybe that's going to be extremely unpopular. So, I mean, I don't care.
I think we should educate, I think we should educate the community.
The education, but
Yeah.
should we keep the word ban in here, or consider a campaign
pretty
against, or municipal ban? I would
Carolyn,
Like, can you educate me? Why?
Yeah,
Carolyn, is it really fertilizer or is it pesticides?
fertilizer, because
And
fertilizer, well, pesticides do, they're poison. Like you
Yes.
could call something rat poison, but it's really owl poison, for example, because they eat the rats.
But I mean,
Fertilizer in
not
particular.
pesticides and herbicides because of in both cases, it's implications for our water, right? Because it goes
Fertilizer
down.
is what increases the nitrogen load in the lake and leads to the phosphorus and the algae blooms.
Right. But pesticides and herbicides get into the water as well, and we're drinking that water, most of us. So
Right.
I wouldn't, if you're going to get into banning things, I would also consider those.
Well, I guess the question is, and this is such a small question, I don't know why I started with it, but I guess it's because one that I got two comments on, most people I have comments on.
Well,
Yeah, we
it's
can consider expanding it, but it also says consider, the word in the comprehensive plan is consider. So consider the impact and on these things could just be what it says.
well, it's also the responsibility of whomever, and sometimes we don't know. Living in an apartment complex, they come in and take care of the pests and take care of the lawn, and there's we don't, as tenants, have any.
You wouldn't be subject to penalty if you're a tenant, it would be the owner of the property.
Well, right, but just building an awareness that there are alternatives. And there are other products that may or may not be as effective.
So I can look at the.
Right, yes.
I think it would be good to emphasize that. I mean, there's certainly data out there that, Parkinson's and some of these other neurodegenerative diseases are linked to this. It's been known in the literature probably for a good 25 years. So it might be worth raising the awareness of, say, consider alternatives to or whatever. I don't think you can take the immediate step to ban it because it takes time.
Yeah, 8.14 says consider a campaign against or possibly a municipal ban, but we could actually just say, we could more say task the Greenway Committee with making a recommendation to, within the next 10 years, on whether we should allow the use of these, maybe
Or
that's,
just have an awareness campaign. Maybe you want to just put some money into a flyer going to every home that just says, be aware that these things, and, cite some of the studies and data. I don't know, but it does impact our water source. So, because we're uphill here, and it all goes downhill.
I think
So,
maybe we should task the Greenway Committee
okay,
with
that you could put in there. Yep,
coming up with how we want to go forward.
yep.
And having the studies and having, so maybe that's what we do, maybe we move this over to the Greenway section and ask them to take a close look at the
Yeah, I think that makes it
fertilizers, the pesticides, and the herbicides.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we should do for now, because we're saying, there's studies, but like, if we were actually gonna take action, we would need to say, have a
And
document.
using WIO information on the website,
Water Resource Council,
extension,
Yeah.
EC,
Okay,
crops.
so that was just one that,
so discouraging, but also educating, increasing awareness,
Some people don't.
and cooperating with our partners on educational campaigns and events.
And there's lots of information out there. It would be an easy link, I'm sure.
And, yeah, and NICOM has a whole series of webinars on that.
Just remember, banning is also, it's gonna include enforcement.
Right.
Yeah.
How you gonna do it? What's
And how do we know anyway?
How are we gonna enforce it?
And you might get, through education like that, you might get half the people switch around, but enforcement.
well, at least if there was a ban, then people wouldn't hire Green Lawn, AKA Chem Lawn, to clean through the neighborhood 4 times a day. Okay, well, then let's just, speaking a little bit more globally, just to get a little bit more perspective from the Board of Trustees and the 2 planning board members who are here. It seems like the direction for the village is very much making sure that we take care of our built environment in the way that the planning board has been pursuing for the last 10 years. And so I do think that the proactive approach that we've been pursuing towards keeping an eye towards the aesthetics of the village and the practicality of the village and the accessibility of walking spaces is all obviously the correct direction. I wonder if we should go a little further in certain areas, like, for example, I had suggested that we maybe form a new committee to help liaison better between the village government and the businesses. Because I do think looking at what's happening in the Trip Hammer corridor is a very big concern to the residents, to the businesses themselves, and frankly, to the government. So maybe it would be helpful, I think. Now, one of the questions, because I have a couple of new committees that I'm suggesting that we form, one of the questions is, well, will we have the people for these committees? And what I found was when I put out that survey, and I asked people if they wanted to be on the committee, I found 8 people for the Greenway Committee. And so I do think that we shouldn't just say, oh, there's no people, and the 5 of us have to chair every committee. I don't think that's the case. I think that if we go out to our friends and neighbors, and we actually say, who's interested in businesses, who's interested in Greenway, who's interested in finances, I think we will find more people and I think we will find more people for the village.
I think that's certainly a possibility.
You'll probably get some business owners who are interested in being on the committee too.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Advisory group.
That's a super idea, I didn't even think of that, but yeah. So kind of that is one of the directions I think is in the new comprehensive plan, is there's a couple more committees suggested, and there's a little bit more emphasis on like how we're going to build our community a little bit stronger, meaning like the village will have a little bit better recognition, working on village recognition. That means both people, outreach to the people when they move in here, but also when they drive in here, they'll see more signage. We'll try to create a village feel, and then hopefully more villagers will be interactive. So kind of just doing a lot more outreach is sort of one of the themes, I think, of this comprehensive plan. So yeah, so we have what I call the Commercial Area Advisory Committee, or perhaps Kathleen called it that, I'm not sure, I don't remember, but it's a good name. And then also, there were what was the second committee called? There was another committee.
Capital Plan and Finance Advisory Committee?
Yep, and then that one as well. So, yeah, so the new committees. Okay, so does anybody think that there's some ideas for the village that you didn't really see expressed, some directions?
No. When you work so closely with people older than me, do anything stand out to you?
Well, some demographic stuff really stands out. Like this one, there was so much concern about creating resources for seniors and housing for seniors and businesses for seniors that cater to seniors. And now the demographics are saying young kids. And so now we're like, where are the nursery schools? What can we put in the parks? So demographics, I think that it's completely flip-flopped in that regard.
Yeah, I did notice that, as I'm trying not to run over small children.
And you still have to look at why, and we still have a lot of seniors. Why are they leaving the village? Do we have the services that are needed? And think 10 years down the road, because we do have wait lists for quality assisted living, enhanced assisted living, et cetera. So that's always going to be a need.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that when we get into what we want to see for the Trip Hammer corridor and the businesses that we want to encourage, services and services for seniors is certainly up there. But also services for families.
Oh,
On my street, there were a lot of some of the very original community party people that helped form the village. And of course, they've died, moved, gone into assisted living, and almost all of them have been replaced by young families who have kids. Mm-hmm. So the home ownership thing, I think, still is elusive for many people, but I think it's still something that we have to continue to try to focus on. And I don't know with our resources as a village, how we can support people being, able to access home ownership, or for developers to build homes that are affordable. And I think that's just a continuing problem for us.
I was thinking about that in terms of our size, in terms of what can a municipality do, and there are these, like, for example, the Downtown Partnership and Heather McDaniel's organization, and that one obviously does cover the Lansing area, but, the Downtown Alliance and whatnot, and what they try to do, and that was something I was thinking about. Do we want there to be some sort of like micro loan availability, nonprofit that's operating within the village, and how would we even go about trying to find the resources for that?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in my head that those are the things that other places do.
Maybe your capital plan and advisory committee could help with that. I don't know. But it's just an ongoing, the home ownership, the fact that we have what is about a third of our population is all rental. And we're very fortunate that we have many people now coming forward to be involved with government. And that's changing a great deal over what used to be. But still, I think it's something that we need to continue to look at, as if there's anything we can do to foster the kind of, stability of home ownership.
Well, Dart Drive and Habitat, they're finding their way here.
Yeah.
So within the county, there are, but still home ownership, look at the data on prices of homes.
I would suspect that it's healthy for a community to have the turnover towards the young families.
Oh, I mean, mixed use, I mean, that's important. People don't want to live in senior facilities. You get to just watch your neighbors, and Horizon, when I was there, turned into that over the course of the 8 years or so, that I lived there. All of a sudden, people, to Lisa's point, went into long-term care facilities, moved out, and children were not allowed because it was.
Children aren't allowed in Horizons?
No, it's a 55 and over. So that's always been so, but people came there, but children came to visit, and it was part of the neighborhood, and that was, so there were children around, they came in and used support, and it was built within a neighborhood with children, and families living there, so it didn't feel like over 55, So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an ongoing problem for us.
And that's unique, and that's in the town of Lansing.
What we can do, the limited things that we can do is keep our eyes out for the creative projects that we've been doing this whole time. And just continuing to understand that is a benefit, that the village wants to see.
So just in line with the county's focus on just an age-friendly community. And it was striking, the average age and the number of families with young children.
Natalie, did you see anything that would give you pause from a legal perspective?
Not from a legal perspective. I mean, I did a cursory look through everything. The only thing, and I can make a comment in the document, that I wondered about if it was a true statement or not, is regarding the bypass, the sewer bypass. As a result of the bypass, the wastewater treatment plant will not limit the sewer's hookup capacity, the village's sewer hookup capacity.
I'm not sure that's true.
But they are.
Page are you on?
Yeah,
18.
that's not right. So that might have been what they wrote.
It might have been like the intent of what that bypass did at the time, but. And I'll go back and look at all the comments that Ronnie and Pat have now made. So it's towards the beginning.
Yeah, no, I definitely, most of that information came from the original one. Yeah, that was just a straight sentence from the
Yeah.
original one. I think we should take out that sentence completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just take that right out.
So what page?
Nancy, you know?
Page 18.
That's not correct. No, that's interesting that it was correct.
Proposed decline bypass?
Yeah.
That's
What a
funny.
hope.
That's funny. Well, maybe I should write that. I'm just gonna take that sentence right out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll take another look at all the, like a deeper look before the joint
Sure.
meeting.
But you didn't see any like vulnerabilities from a legal perspective? Okay. Okay.
Carol, on page 40, 11.4, what do we mean by multimedia distribution?
Chapter 5.
Multimedia distribution.
It means, multimedia is probably not the best word, a better word would be like multi-dimensional or something, like.
Are you foreseeing like phone,
Like,
internet?
we want to be reaching people through many channels. So multimedia is probably not the best way to say that, it's a multi-channel distribution. So we're gonna have the website, we want to have a list, like a true village list of people who want to receive information by email. And we have the siren, I don't think, we've discussed it a little bit because Jody's on the committee as well. We've discussed a little bit whether we're gonna be sending like texts. And I think we're gonna let siren be the texting of the village. We're not gonna text people at this point. But what would we say, multi-channel? Should I say multi-channel?
Or of our variety of community, I'm sorry, variety of communication modalities.
Okay, facilitate distribution of billboards through a variety of communication means.
Modalities, or, I don't know, does that
Through
make sense?
a variety of communication modalities.
Does that make sense,
Yeah.
Pat, or is the other?
Except I spelled modalities wrong beside that. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, so we don't have in here that we're gonna have a Facebook, so let's put that right in here. Facilitate distribution, continue, so, yeah, we're gonna,
Is there a potential legal issue?
including active
Social networks.
use of social networks, social
Yeah.
media,
Yes.
and social networks, including Facebook. You're gonna do a Facebook page, so we got that one for sure, Facebook.
So who's responsible for keeping all of this updated? Is this Jody?
Well, Pat is volunteered to start our Facebook page, so,
Okay.
Which will also, it'll be Facebook
I mean-
and Instagram, they feed each other. Because the young people are on.
so Pat's gonna be our social media liaison.
No TikTok.
Should I
Well, you know-
establish social media committee chaired by Pat? You know I love a committee.
I guess my main concern is just to be sure that somebody is taking care of it so that it's up to date and everything.
Yep.
That's the hard part. I mean, creating some of the stuff's the easy part. Keeping on top of it is another matter.
Lorraine, you're cute. Thank you for doing my capitalizations of proper nouns.
I depend on Lorraine for that. Between Lorraine and Pat, you're good.
Okay. Pat, do you have any other topics that we haven't?
No, I think everything was addressed.
Another concern that we really didn't think about for, I would say, 10 years ago, which is now a big concern, is kind of disaster planning. I mean, we had the fire, we have climate change, there's climate events just kind of erupting all around us. I think that's something we weren't thinking about 10 years ago, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, we weren't really thinking about that 10 years ago the way we are today.
Not, well, pretty much we haven't worried about flooding and stuff, but we've had some, interesting, not flooding in the way that Texas has flooding, but we have had some flood damage, or heavy rainfall. But we actually were, but not to it's just increased over the past 10 years incredibly, that's all. But we did consider it, actually. But it wasn't as big a deal as it is and should be now, frankly.
Yeah, that's something that's changed, another thing that's changed.
And I think there's more awareness with the change in the wetlands, the flood maps. And
Yeah, the climate, yeah.
those are
think
all on our.
In fact, one of the big discussions we had initially when we were working on it was climate change and whether it was being caused by humans or whether it was just a cycle. And I remember there was some controversy over that when we were working on the last plan. And now I think we don't really care what's, at this point, we just know we have to plan for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and looking and anticipating the uncertainties in the future through your climate adaptation and resilience planning, which would incorporate, a dozen risk factors. Everything from pandemics, disease, food systems, looking at it within the lens of multiple complex interconnected systems.
Yeah.
I'm talking about sustainability in general, but.
So Kathleen, with regard to our first principle, and you had added in the
yeah.
smart growth principles, and now you're saying consider moving them?
No, yeah.
Put them wherever you want.
So I just inserted climate-smart elements, priority elements, because there are 10 of those and a ton of actions under them, but 10 basic, it's a framework. And then incorporated in that are the smart growth principles. They overlap, but it's a component of.
Okay, I think
It's
if we
all-
put
it's
all
all-
of that into
it's all New York.
1.1, it's gonna be kind of verbose.
So it's 10 and 10
I think that maybe you put it, I would put it.
in
wanna
the
move it?
appendix. Put it back in the appendix.
Is that where it was?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, then yeah. And reference it,
otherwise it gets
yeah.
too long.
Okay, so we'll put that
And
back
just a
where it was.
reference.
Okay, well, here's another discussion point that we can get a lot of people's opinion on. So we had looked at many other municipalities' comprehensive plans, including the village of Kega Heights, and what they have is maybe like 60, less than 60 action items. And they have a matrix where it says like, who's gonna do it, how it's gonna be funded, when it's gonna be done by. And we had discussed whether or not we wanted to put a matrix in Appendix A. And we went back and forth on this because we don't want to, some municipalities update this document all of the time, like the town's document is just in a perpetual cycle of updation, whereas, I don't know if that's the word, it is now. But, whereas ours is a 10-year plan, and we update it every 10 years, and I'm gonna be perfectly frank, I like our way better. Because then they're never done, they never get to cross it off their list, and it's just, I feel like this is better, like you think about it, you enact it, you think about it, you enact it, I just think that's a better way of operating. So if we were to have a matrix in here, then we're updating this document all the time, so we then just talked ourselves out of it and decided to do a separate document. That might be just a companion document with such a matrix. Lisa, you have thoughts?
Yeah, the fact is, we can try, it's very hard to compare ourselves to other municipalities because we're small. And we do not have the same resources. I mean, the taxes that we pay the village, which we rely on to sustain us, are the least taxes that I pay, and pretty much everybody does, I think. So I think we have to be realistic about all of that. I think, though, that one of the things I have suggested is that I would really love to have an annual meeting with the trustees once a year, at least, maybe more often, to sort of say, here are a couple of goals we really would like to work on this year as, together, if possible. I just think it would be nice to periodically sort of focus on an area that we seem to, that we would like to foster that year.
Well, we can actually make that a comprehensive plan goal. The annual.
Okay,
the
but
annual meeting.
I think we have to be realistic about our resources. Let's put it that way.
With regard to the matrix.
Yes.
Okay, so
And I
we're leaning towards not having the matrix, so,
Yeah, I
That sounds
guess I
like-
would.
okay.
I do think, though, that it's one of the advantages, of course, if you don't set goals and some timelines, you often don't get there.
Right.
So it is, which is why if we could kind of come up with a compromise and maybe, as I said, annually or biannually, say we would really over the next year like to focus on the following 2 areas or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There might be something else we could consider.
I think we do informally, how are we going to update the code of uses, the tree law, it's kind of loose. But it would be nice for the planning board and the board of trustees maybe to have a better or a working relationship so we don't miss the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, well, we have the 2 joint meetings that are good.
Yeah, and that's a good start. Maybe from that, we can determine what's needed. Or if a big project is coming up and it gets pushed off because of who knows what. at least we're not going to forget about it.
Well, let's put this right in the document, that this is a priority.
I think it's helpful, though, to have some sort of a written implementation plan, not necessarily for every single sub-goal, but for your major goals. What can you accomplish in year one? What's better for year 2, 3, or 5? Just so you have that interim 5-year plan that you're working toward, and just highlight not only what you've accomplished in that year, but it does give you sort of a checklist on progress, which makes it easier to report. And you can jointly, both planning board and trustees can select a couple of things that are feasible in a year versus something that's longer term, up to 5 years.
So I'm adding a 1.7 under our first principle. At the biannual joint meeting of the Board of Trustees and Planning Board, review implementation priorities from the comprehensive plan.
So it's a progress report?
Including, and create a progress report and issue and present, so we don't have to have something, a progress report.
Who's going to put together the progress report?
I mean, that's why I said
Planning board.
present, because then it can just be like this, we're presenting
Okay.
it.
Well, present tells me that you're presenting something.
I just, okay, so.
We can play
We
with
can-
it. We'll play with it.
So
We'll workshop
often
it.
in the newsletter, it is basically a summary of your accomplishments and what's coming next. But if you have some sort of a rough plan, these are some of the tasks for accomplishing this goal this year. It's just easier to just check off, oh, we did it, no, that got moved to next year.
Annual joint review
Or
implementation. from
No
the
longer
comprehensive
applicable,
plan.
we dropped it.
Usually, and discuss progress.
Fine. Progress, priorities. Means for,
I think it helps with your
Accomplishing.
capital planning, but also your budgeting. And any funding you ever, any funding down the line.
okay. At the biannual meeting of the Board of Trustees and Planning Board, review implementation priorities from the comprehensive plan and discuss progress, priorities, and means for accomplishing village planning goals. Okay, so that is a goal now of the comprehensive plan, that we're gonna make sure that we continue to annually assess our progress towards these goals. That's a good suggestion. I mean, yeah, that's the name of the game. It's like, you can write down the report all you want, but like, if you don't actually do it, then, yeah, we have to actually do it.
We write it, and then we have to do it.
But as you noted, you were fairly successful in doing it.
It was great, it was
Yeah.
incredible. It's really lovely to see all the progress that was made.
Yeah, with the other one the old one, I remember going through it and tagging the things that I thought were specifically planning board kind of things, creating certain laws, like we did the sidewalk law, we did the tree law, we did the solar, those were planning board things, you know what I mean? And
Well,
yeah,
that's what Kathleen wanted to do, was to like label each one to whose job it is. This is Mike's
Yep.
job, that's Mike's job, this is also Mike's job.
Poor Mike.
right. But I think we have to, well, what if Mike gets sick?
He's apparently not allowed.
No, he isn't, but, he's a Rico rogue on us, who knows?
Okay, well, I mean, we don't have to drag it out if we think we're ready to discuss it between the joint boards and people are liking the direction the document's taking. And there aren't a lot of substantive comments.
Well, then let's do it. So we can check it off.
Online?
After, you mean before it's done?
No.
No.
After it's done.
After it's done,
After it's done,
definitely. But we can do it before it's done also, we can solicit
What
comments.
format do we put it up? Is it just as a website, or is it,
It's so, that we have a website link now to the current comprehensive plan.
but it's just pages, it's not a document that people would,
I mean,
like a Word doc or PDF? Because this would not be accessible.
It's a,
yeah, it's very annoying that this is a Google Doc.
That way, so you can,
It won't be a Google Doc at the end of the day.
Right.
We're just doing that because so all of us can talk together. And then when it goes back to being a Word doc, and then it'll be a PDF.
Yeah,
No?
Not accessible.
it's not accessible. You can't have bold, can't have underline.
thank you.
What do you mean? Like, this is what it looks like now.
That's a printed form.
I,
The one online doesn't look like this?
I could,
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
I think it does.
I've looked at the printed copy.
I could print it out from the website.
That's the
If
old,
you're not,
What do you mean by accessible, I guess? You have to do with
for people
handicap,
with vision, hearing
Yeah.
issues.
Oh,
not that it cannot be
Oh, I thought you meant
converted
access. I thought,
for those that need special.
so under village publications,
so our website isn't really accessible,
I mean, making the, yeah, I mean, that could be a comprehensive plan
so that
goal.
could be a goal,
Anybody who's using a screen reader would not be able to read this.
right?
They could, but it would take them
Right.
a very long time because of all the code that goes into,
I'm looking at what it is now. So what it is now is this.
So, yeah,
and what is that PDF?
that's a PDF, I think.
So you don't want it as PDF.
It can't be a PDF.
What type of?
Unless you have,
is
unless you pay to have it remunerated, which document the size could probably be a couple $1,000s. But even then, companies and organizations are going away from PDF, posting PDFs, because it's such an issue. Because if you make any change, then you have to have it done all over again. You have to pay to have it made accessible.
So how would you suggest it get posted on the website?
As web pages,
www dot blah, 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 comprehensive.
comprehensive plan, and then there'd just be pages with.
I think we probably have both options available, because some people would probably just want a PDF.
So
You have to make that clear on the website.
So, I know that there's like a little, you can make a website accessible, handicap accessible. How does one do that, go about doing that? Is that something that you would be able to do or be promoted? You could do that?
Yeah.
So let's find out what's happening with our website transition, and if that company has, what kind of services they have available.
Because
We'll
that's,
be the first person to raise that issue with them, I'm sure.
Anybody that gets federal grant money has to have an accessible website.
Okay.
Yeah, because the county has the languages and the accessibility.
Right.
They .gov.
oh, this is getting complicated. So does that mean all, our entire website should become
Should
Accessible.
be,
Yeah.
should be.
accessible, considering the demographics?
Yeah.
Good call, Pat.
Well, we just went through
I mean, as
a
long,
rebuild at work, so
oh,
So you're
it's fresh in my mind,
fresh.
but I've been harping on that
So Bethany, I
accessibility
think
for
we're gonna
years.
take out the appendix I. Even though you did some work on it,
Oh, that's a task.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
What was I just gonna say? Oh, somebody had a comment in here that they don't like full justification. You can battle me.
The only reason I don't like it
Full
because it's
justification.
What does that mean exactly?
Lawyers love full justification.
It's when all of the lines take up the same amount of space.
Oh, that you're talking.
I love
lines that are like really spread apart and it just looks
Yeah,
bad.
So nice.
I love it. We could have a global vote. Do we want the document full justified?
Line left guy.
I love full justification, it's so pretty. My kids think I'm a nutcase,
No, I
they
love
don't
it too.
understand it. Bear with you. I couldn't figure out how to do a global, because, this document was written a long time ago, so there's all two spaces after the periods. And then when I tried to do a global find and replace on Google Docs,
I did it.
I know you did it.
First thing I did.
I know, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. It was saying, if you do this, you're gonna untab everything. Do you sure you wanna do this? And I was like, no, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna untab
One
anything.
space or two spaces?
One space.
Thank you though, so much. Yeah, because a lot of this was, we started with the cut and paste from this, and everything had two spaces. So yeah, that was great that you figured that out. I did not know how to do that. But I am the one who will justify everything. Okay, I don't wanna keep people if they don't have any more global comments. Okay, should we move on to the next portion of our meeting, which is general comments? So we'll go around the room, start with Pat.
I don't have anything.
Kathleen?
Oh, yeah, I had just a motion to have Roxanna Johnson, the CWI Chair, Cuba Lake Watershed Intermunicipal Organization Chairperson, visit on July 17th, which is a Thursday, and you suggested 1 o'clock after.
Do we have to make a motion to invite somebody? We don't have to move. We just
just
have
so
to
it's
decide
on
that
the
we want
record.
to hear
You
from
said that you
her.
invited her.
So, but we hadn't determined a time or,
Well, the reason I said 1 o'clock is that this, if the staff people have things that they need to get to. So we can meet from 12 to 1 with the staff, and then she can just come at 1 if
1
that's
o'clock.
okay. Because she was available in July, and we obviously don't want her to come to the joint meeting.
And
So that means
right.
Thursday.
Lisa's objection was knowing Pat has lunch hour.
so,
Oh, you have only 1 hour?
And I
It can be flexible, but
work at 1. And Roxy is so knowledgeable, both in her Clio position, but with the city of Ithaca.
Is she offering non-July dates, or she was
no,
just
just
only
July,
offering? so it's-
because
So
the
it's
meeting
that,
got canceled in July, so she could visit municipal.
so why don't we then keep the meeting, and then if you have to go, you have to go? Because or else we're not gonna hear from her, so.
Well,
And it'll be recorded, so.
okay, well,
Why don't you run by her one more time? Is it possible for you to come to our, when is our August, one of our August meetings?
It was July,
And if it's not, then July it is,
okay.
better than nothing.
So the 17th at 1 o'clock?
Does that make, well,
Could you do
oh, the other
12:30?
option is flip
Who's
it.
going to,
The other choice is flip it. If
At
you
noon?
two really want to be here for that, more than you want to be here for the rest of the meeting.
well, we can limit it to, a 20-minute presentation. Does that give you enough time to get through the rest of the agenda?
We could, I would suggest that if you want to be here for that, we can just flip the meetings usually take an hour without a presentation, or more than an hour.
I'd say just schedule it for 1 o'clock.
I would say schedule her for noon, and then, what's your priority, the regular?
the priority is keep our meeting with staff at
Okay,
12. And
okay.
then whatever happens
Okay.
after, and she may
Okay, so
not
then
even
let's
be
do
able
that.
to come.
And
So let's do 1 o'clock, if she,
would staff, does staff have to leave at 1?
depends on the day.
Okay,
Who knows?
so just leave it Thursday, 17th at 1 o'clock.
If she can do it,
Yeah,
okay.
and if we're done before 1,
We won't be done with the staff meeting, we've never been before.
I know, that's true.
Not if I ask questions.
So everyone's okay with that?
Great, I appreciate you setting that up.
Okay. And if you have any specific questions for her, Susan or Pat, give them to me ahead of time, and Carolyn and Mike. And then I can just give them to her so she has some advance notice.
Okay.
Great.
Natalie, do you have any personal business?
Oh,
Oh, sorry, you're not.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to get that down. The planning board, the June
Oh, great.
24th planning board might jump in. So there was a public hearing on the subdivision, 56 Burdick Hill Road, and it's currently 5-acre parcel within the village, and half in the village, half in the town was the issue. The determination was it's a minor subdivision. Let's see, the town also needs to approve the town portion, as I understood it, and there's no access on the town portion. 11 Graham West, informal discussion, and that's the
Chinese food restaurant.
yeah, the restaurant, the food chains and drive-through. The major concern there was the curb cuts on Trip Hammer Road and the desire for village aesthetics were the two takeaways from the discussion, the informal discussion with the developer. There was a brief discussion about code changes, corrections, process assignments, and what to focus on, and it looked like what uses were allowed for each district, should a special permit be required with or without special conditions, were the conditions out of date, any recommended changes, language update or not, definitions update or not, and then other things such as overlay districts in alignment with the comprehensive plan.
I was a bit confused about the conversation about the build-out for the Chinese restaurant. If there's no curb cuts, then does the planning board still have objections to the possibility of the project?
Well,
Wasn't really a clear answer there.
there might be other options, but
I was excited to see interest in the property. That's what I took away from it. Though maybe I'm missing something.
I think that, no, I think the curb cut was the major thing. I mean, we all expressed, it would be nice if we could have some different types of restaurants besides the chain that was suggested, but no, I think another concern is it would be great if we knew how the total parcel, this is only one part of that section, how that would be so that we could plan for access to all of the possible buildings that might be there. But the main thing was the curb cut. And the developer seemed to be a really reasonable kind of person.
Oh, great, because I would be very excited to see something happen there.
and then some concerns were raised about siren. Not all the alerts that people expect do they receive, such as,
A road closure that Lorraine didn't know about, for example.
if a lane is closed, that sort of thing. The need for BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals candidates, and.
Oh, I thought you were Board of Zoning Appeals candidate.
Well,
Larry
Kevin
Do what?
Kelvington introduced himself and expressed interest.
Oh, you got one?
Well, he was at
He
the
came for the
meeting.
planning board.
Oh,
And
good.
so he expressed interest and answered questions, and then they went into executive session. And the next meeting, I think, is the 14th.
Did I send you an email or I didn't, about a BZA person?
I don't remember seeing that. I know
Okay.
that I set up, well, if you want to go around, it might turn when it comes around.
Susan Piero said she would also do it as well. But she said if you have nobody else, so she would be happy for this.
And I don't know the
You
recommendation.
need more than one, so Susan Piero will be the other one then.
So basically, we're still waiting for the recommendation from the planning board.
Okay,
So I don't know the outcome of the executive session or what it was about.
okay.
Town of Lansing meetings, the June 18th, The agenda recording and everything is on the website. They've done similar, I can go through it if you want. The advisory council, the June 4th, the town board discussed the conversion from advisory to board, critical environmental areas in the town, and concern with proposed solar projects and percentage of town impacted. There was a follow-up letter to the state on that. Let's see, watershed, CWIO, I sent the agenda in the board, the agenda packets, and the funding follow-up to the trustees. So hopefully you get it and can open it.
I think so.
Okay, yes? No?
I think so.
Oh, good. Okay. So I won't go through that. The Environmental Management Council, that's on July 10th. Strategic Planning, NICOM. Oh, the Core Advisory Group was Sue Ruff from Broome County, and that was basically, let's see, I'm doing this from memory now because I have it written down now. It was basically flooding and emergency planning that they had done, with a focus on people with disabilities. And then the NICOM webinars, they did have a change of date, so July 9th is the next one, Managing Harmful Algae Blooms. And the one scheduled earlier got rescheduled to the 16th, and that's on biosolids, and forever chemicals, and the impact that has on your wastewater treatment plants and cost. The 23rd is the wetland regulations and what's changed. Just a reminder, Tompkins County would like people to fill out the survey for the local government center. And heat advisory, which we had today, the cooling centers in the village, for anyone listening or looking at the recording, the YMCA and the shop set at the Kamal. And there's a list on the health department website for others throughout the county. Mostly your libraries, Cornell has some. That's about it. And then at the library tomorrow from 1 to 4, US Representative Riley has a mobile, their team will be there to assist anybody with any questions they have or issues. I think that's it. I mean, I can say more, but.
But we all get those emails.
Pardon me?
I get all those emails,
Okay, so
like the Napoli.
just delete then.
Well, I mean, I do read them.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what people get. When we're doing a liaison, what would you guys like from these different organizations? What would you like to hear back? Would you like a written report?
I don't think I need a full report, I mean, just bullet items, it's fine with me.
Okay. Susan?
A written
Written highlights from all of them.
In other words, you're asking.
I'm asking what
You-
the board, what would be helpful for the board? What would be kind of mutually beneficial? What do you want to hear or not hear?
I don't know, a summary with a bullet point.
Written summary with bullet points?
No, just present the information, share the information by email, and if there's something of particular note to the village, then raise it at the meetings.
Okay.
Kind of like we've been doing all along, I think,
Okay.
is the proper procedure. I don't think we need to change that.
Okay.
Don't make more work for yourself.
Anything else?
No, I'll stop.
Keep going. And Natalie says she doesn't have anything. Mike, you had something?
Just a couple things, I was gonna been trying to pull together, this whole thing with the BZA, because I've got a couple variances for that very same, subdivision project. It's been hard, sometimes hard anyway, because everybody goes on vacation, and we're pretty thin as it is. We have 4 members now. The gentleman, we can't find him, he's gone, so we figured that's out of it. I mean, you got Andrea, Roy, John, and Lynn. So what Mike Wallish was in, let me back up, originally Kevin Kelvington, who came in for an interview for the planning board, there's no openings at this point, so I reached out to him to see if he wanted to spend time on the BZA, at least until maybe possibly an opening came up. He didn't really get back to me, so I guess he was out of town or whatnot. Mike Wallish, who has been at the, Lisa knows him, he's been at the planning board meeting. He originally started coming to the planning board meeting because of the East Point project. He lives up on Norway. So he was came in the office, and I just started talking to him a little bit, and he said, yeah, he goes, I wouldn't mind trying that. So I hooked Mike up with Lynn for an interview. And what I'm trying to do is push Lynn to have a recommendation letter for our staff meeting. That would be, I can't remember the date of it, but it's beside the point. I'm trying to get a July 22nd BZA meeting together. So if he can be approved, then we'll have enough people there. We'll have at least
How many do you want
3.
total? What's your ideal number?
We have 5.
Okay,
I
so
know.
you also want,
We have to have
so should I contact Lynn real quick? She probably knows. Susan.
Well, we'll have 5 if they,
Oh, you
Mike
have
is
it without
approved.
Susan, okay.
Is there an alternate?
Well, it's
position?
always good to have somebody, huh?
Is there an alternate
Yeah.
position?
I can't remember, we ever had an alternate on that? I don't remember having one.
We may have for a very short time when I was first on it.
I mean, we were scraping up just to get, well, the
Well, just
5 of
because
you.
it's so hard now to get a quorum, it can't, if there's the availability in the code for an alternate, it might be worthwhile.
If there is, that's great.
Well, I'll check.
Let's do it. Yeah, if you want to send me information.
Well, and I
Lynn had told me that,
would reach out to Sue as well.
Okay. Like I said, send me the names and I'll make contacts.
Lynn told me that John is,
I didn't realize I didn't,
Yeah, so I don't know.
thought I had.
So we're trying to get that worked out so we can get the subdivision finalized. Other than that, there's a couple other items that I'm going to bring up during the staff meeting that I'd like to, some problematic items in the village I'd like to discuss. I'm going to hit up Natalie first about how to approach them. And then after we discuss whatever and have some kind of direction, I'll send it out for you to look at before the Thursday meeting. Something you can let it marinate for a little bit. So that's all I've got.
I just forwarded to you the email from Susan, so now you have her.
I'll reach out.
Okay, thanks. Susan?
And I attended the engineering committee meeting, this is Bolton Point, the finance committee meeting, the commissioners meeting.
Those are all 3 of those are Bolton Point?
Yeah.
So you picked your committee then?
They picked me,
Which one?
all of them.
So you'll be on all 3 committees?
Well, apparently Don served on all of them, the personnel and there is a 50-year celebration coming up, so I said I'd help, but there are like 8 people on the committee, it sounds like a huge, huge, huge thing. But I think the most important, and Mike can probably speak to it, their raw water on the lake treatment facility that they're expanding. And there may be some thought down the road that with the PFAS and algae, the state may require that we remove those particles from the wastewater before it becomes, not the drinking water, the raw water. So it looks like there's room for a capital project coming up. So we should be mindful of that, because they're going to want to maybe increase their water.
I didn't know there was a way to remove PFAS from the water.
Not, there may be a way, or there will be a way. Once it's measurable, and it depends, and Roxy certainly can speak to this, it seems to be depends on where you measure it, you know, because remember, the watershed goes all the way to East Hill, right? I mean, it just isn't here, it's the watershed. There's this wonderful map that Quio has about how everything feeds into the watershed. And that's a pretty cool slide, because it gives you the global. So there's going to be more work done in terms of building and taking care of it, making
Yeah,
sure.
they've identified a different way, a different procedure to remove certain chemicals from water, but it's all going to end up obviously costing more money, because the process has to change, because there's different chemicals in the water now than there used to be. So it's all, it's a possibility, and there will be, from what I've heard, there are grants that are going to help out with this.
Yeah, because maybe it's 60, I mean, big grants.
So they're,
But we are the group of 5, so we will have to participate.
They're just scratching the surface at this point.
Okay.
so there are two different filtering systems. So the forever chemicals, the per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, there are a variety. You can filter those out, but like the 1,4-dioxane, you can't use the same system to remove that chemical. So that's a different system for removing that. So it gets expensive when you're upgrading your system.
They don't have a one-size-fits-all where it takes out everything.
No.
They have to separate them.
Right.
And each be taken care of.
Exactly.
One up together, and that's
Right.
the process.
And then what you do with your biosolids, your waste, your toxic waste, essentially, that's another issue in terms of land spreading, et cetera. Or going to a landfill, and the issues surrounding that, and your water quality issues. And the watershed impacts multiple municipalities economically, in terms of recreation, health, et cetera.
All right, well, keep us posted.
I will.
Anything else? Nope. I don't have anything to report. I have a meeting tomorrow for trails. That's it for me. Okay, if there are no other comments, I will move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Kathleen seconds, and all those in favor?
Okay.
Okay, we are adjourned at 8:38. Thank you, everyone.